Are you guys doing your talk or not?
We have nothing to talk about.
Oh.
We always do this, you realize that, right?
I know.
And it irritates the shit out of me.
Every
but how?
flippin'
But what do you?
week.
What do you want us to say?
Test.
See? You guys both need to go to the front.
Oh, those are the
It's
fans.
the fans.
All right, we'll be back in a minute. Yeah, see the little red dot? We're in. All right, here we are, live at 11:22. Okay, come on, people, let's go. Chop. We got things to do here.
What do you have to do?
Edit this video. Play more Rage 2.
Oh, man.
You know what? I think I'm gonna have to do something else because we'll leave you blown out. It'll be fine.
You must be talking about me.
Oh yeah. But maybe that's okay. Aaron's a little late too, and I'm like, so we'll just bring all the exposure down. It'll be fine. So here we are, Sunday as usual. New cup. Yep. New cup.
Teacher's Day
My
gifts.
students know me so well. Coffee.
You like can't see the thing. I tried to be straight.
It's just color, man. Just
I know.
enjoy
I
it.
see it.
Just enjoy the color. What do you want to see? When we move the head. Oh, there you go.
No, put the head back
Does
on
that-
the fabric,
does
please.
that- Why?
Because I don't want you to accidentally bump.
Why would I bump? I live with this head every day.
Okay, I don't want to accidentally bump. Please put the thing back
Okay,
on.
don't bump. Shit.
Do you know? This is the third time I have asked you this morning.
I think you should know that by now you're an adult. You're supposed to be able to do these very simple things.
Listen,
Thank you for
we've-
getting the sticker off.
You're welcome. You should know, as an adult, your limitations.
No, but you're not supposed to have the limitation of I can't walk through a space.
Listen, I am not.
That's not
I am
supposed to
not
be.
a thin woman, nor am I agile.
That-
And so when
That's not supposed to be. Big booty-itis is not supposed to be a thing that you get when you get old.
what? I've had big bootyitis for a long time.
I know.
Since I was what?
Trust me.
6
I
months
know.
pregnant, I got big bootyitis.
When what do I tell you every day you need to do?
Yoga. When the surgeon specifically said, do not do yoga.
Damn him.
You have a torn ligament.
Damn
Do
that
not
message.
do it.
That is a bad message. Yoga every day. Or Tai Chi. But yoga's easier.
I don't even know if I could. I
Tai
don't
Chi?
know that I could do Tai Chi because of the pivots and
Pivots.
the stress that you put on your knees.
Whatever. Tai Chi was my rehab for my knee. What are you talking about?
What?
It was my rehab. That's how I went from not being able to do anything to being able to do it was when I was doing Tai Chi. 1 day a week. And a little bit of practice throughout the week when it wasn't like too swollen or too much pain or whatever. That was my rehab. That's how I got to the point where I could
But that
then
was
do stuff
after
again.
surgery, not before
Of course
surgery.
it was after surgery.
Dude, I'm
I
before.
said it was rehab.
I'm before the surgery.
Yeah, but you're, whatever. Go ahead. Tai Chi. It'll help with the big bootyitis.
Walking those stairs helped with me.
No, apparently it doesn't, because you can't walk up them stairs very much.
Well, I lost a whole bunch of weight when I started because I was walking,
Is it coming back with a vengeance?
the weight. No, I haven't gained any back yet. Thank goodness.
Well, think of it this way. Next year, the school's going to have elevator. You won't be here to see it. All
I
right.
don't care. I don't care anything about
So
it.
here we are. Yeah. What you got for this week? Oh! We've got artwork. We've got artwork. Finally have some artwork for the back. We got the backdrop thing for the artwork, and here's our first piece of artwork from Creations by Georgia. The artwork!
Aaron's birthday present.
Aaron's birthday present. Black Panther. Is this a quilt or is this a blanket?
It's a wall hanging.
But it's a quilt.
It's a quilted
quilt.
wall hanging, yes.
All right, so we've got a quilt. We've
Not
got,
meant to be on your body. It's meant to be on the
and
wall.
this is meant to go up, so we have to get a pole.
It's in its natural state.
Speaking of, that's what I was going to do. That's why
Yeah,
this
we
didn't.
tried.
We tried, but the
tried,
pole is
but
too big.
It's too big around.
Okay.
That was the first thing Mommy tried to do.
Okay, that's why the
It's
pole up.
too big.
Okay, so our first piece of art, we're waiting for our next pieces of art to go up, and hopefully Rodney will hook us up with some art, some Rodney art.
Oh my gosh, I love his stuff.
So we need some Rodney art,
Oh,
and we've got some Creations art, and we're gonna get some other art, right? We're gonna get some things that
Some
hopefully
tapestry stuff.
might come before we depart the country,
well, the part of the state at least.
because they've been in the country for a while now, haven't they?
They've been in the country since May 9th. But that means nothing. Because
Wait. That means something.
No.
What day is today? May 26th.
26th. But I get the Goddess Provision boxes every month.
Yep.
And my March box arrived April 9, April 7 in the country. I did not get it until May.
So we might get tapestries, and we might not.
I'm hoping that my April box comes before we move,
So
since we don't know when
we
that
got
is.
Black Panther, who we were talking about today, due to the Back of the Theater podcast and their
Menelec,
There.
I'm so disappointed in you. I am
their Endgame review.
I'm so disappointed. I went to the Back of the Theater podcast Facebook page and typed out a message, and I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Why? You should have typed what the hell?
I'm so frustrated. I am
What? Wait.
How are
You're
you the one that's
frustrated
most
when
frustrated?
we're the ones that were trying to get you
Wait,
to watch these
but I
movies
watched them.
for 10 years.
But I watched them.
But wait,
You watched them.
we were after you for 10 years. The people have been listening to us tell you to watch these things for
But I
what?
didn't-
2 years.
But I
What
didn't
the
go-
hell?
I didn't go to film school. I am not a writer. I am not anything to do with film. I'm just a regular old everyday.
I'm a civilian.
I'm a peasant.
I'm a peasant.
I'm a
in
film
the,
peasant.
Yes, and this man, this is his job. This is his career. This is his passion. And then he's gonna do a review on the end of a 10-year series, and he didn't take the time to go and watch the most critical films in the series.
Hey,
Are
man.
you fucking kidding me right now? He didn't watch Ultron. He didn't watch Winter Soldier. He didn't even know what fucking Winter Soldier was. Are you kidding me right now?
This baffles me.
I know.
How are you the most emotional about this?
Because I'm just a peasant.
Because we felt like this when you watched Black Panther. and
No,
Ragnarok
because
and
I
Ragnarok.
didn't watch those things. I wouldn't have watched them without Daddy saying it's okay.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's not true.
But-
Well, Black Panther, we didn't know when we watched it
Right.
because we went to the movie theater.
Right.
Yeah, but it was out for a month before we got to see it. And
what was the
everybody
other
else
one?
was in.
Oh, and Captain Marvel, you hadn't seen a bunch of them before you saw Captain Marvel, so
And
Yes, but I was told by the ones who had seen it, especially like Jess, because Jess has seen all of them like 50 times.
well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Duh.
So Jess had seen all of them like 50 times, and she's like, it's okay for you to see this. Now, Ragnarok, I wouldn't have seen it had we not been on a plane for 16 hours.
You could have made a different choice.
yeah, you could have watched The Lord of the Rings like everybody else did.
You
I
could
did
have
watch
done.
Lord of the
You could have
Rings.
done.
Go watch them
Wait,
again.
you could have done
even-
so many different things. Do not act like you you were captive
Because
to
that didn't
Ragnarok.
make sense to you until
But I'm gonna go
a
back
few
and watch it
days-
again.
A few days before Endgame came out.
Right.
Because we were watching Ultron, and I was like, now you know why Hulk is in the Quinjet.
Right.
Now you know why he's
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
because you saw that it's like, why is the Quinjet there? Why is Hulk there? Why
But I
can
didn't know what a
Hulk talk?
Quinjet was because I hadn't even seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's not the same
not-
thing.
I had-
It's not in the Guardians of the
Avengers.
But
They're
I had
their
only,
technology.
but I only saw the first Avengers, and that was all I'd seen.
Are there Quinjets in the first Avengers?
I don't think so.
Yes, because Hawkeye flies
Yeah,
one.
and Hulk jumps on top of one.
Okay, but I didn't know what it was called.
Those are the jets
Those
that
are
are on
jets.
the tarmac when they're before they even take off. Those are all Quinjets. So yes, you have seen them.
They're
Now you
all-
haven't seen the Quinjet that goes in space, but that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Because that happened that got developed in Agents of Shield. They did the one that goes into space.
But I also didn't like the fact that Menelek was picking on the kids for crying. And then he starts picking on the grown-ass man for crying.
Hey, man.
But he has no emotional attachment to the characters.
But wait,
You didn't cry when Yondu died.
why you gotta bring up Yondu, man?
I didn't cry when
Why you gotta
Yondu
bring that
died.
up? Why you gotta do that?
Because
Because
I
you are
didn't have the same perspective as you.
Right.
Yeah, because you didn't have the gap. That's, I don't know. I feel like the gap.
Time makes a big difference.
Right, because if you watch them within a night,
Which I did.
Yeah,
if
time
you,
makes
if
a
you
big
do
difference.
that, like skipping the ones you've already seen, like Ragnarok and Black Panther, if you do that, it doesn't have time to sit there.
I am the only one in the house,
that
just so
watched
you
all
know,
of them.
that literally sat down and watched every single one in order, skipping nothing, not even Incredible Hulk,
Oh God, that movie
skipping
should
nothing,
be skipped forever.
and
Why?
watching.
It's not that bad.
As a movie, it's not that bad, and I think Hulk kind of stands outside of its end scene. It stands alone from everything.
Yeah.
It literally has no. I mean, it gives you a little bit of his strength and abomination, and it gives them something. It gives Mark Ruffalo's Hulk a reason to not want to be Hulk. Because he, like he says, he broke Harlem. It gives him that reason to be like, I don't want this thing to come out because I feel bad about what happened before.
Right.
So we got the before. But other than that, it really has no real connection outside of the Colonel that is chasing him.
Yeah.
Because the Colonel is chasing him in Hulk, and then he's the one who is going to bring the Sokovia Accords to them. He's the one that's the government guy. So, But, Tony ends him essentially by saying, dude, stop chasing this thing. We're doing a thing. Stop chasing him.
Stop holding the grudge. We can't hurt your daughter.
But he didn't hurt his daughter.
No.
No, he did not. No, he didn't.
First time he hurt Betty.
No. No. Oh, the very first time. Oh, I thought you meant like in the Incredible Hulk film.
No.
Nah, but I don't think that's why he's bitter. I think what he's bitter about is he says it in there that Banner never knew that they were using the gamma thing, that radiation, to make super soldiers. They were trying to replicate what the Doctor had done with Captain America. They were trying to do that again, and he tells him that, and he tells Abomination, the guy that becomes Abomination. He tells him that and that's why all that stuff was on ice. And then they started injecting him with this stuff, trying to replicate what the Doctor had done to Steve. But okay, all right, yes. Back to the theater, y'all. Leonard is on top of it.
Leonard, thank you,
He
Leonard.
has the comic book knowledge.
But he's on
Yeah,
top of it.
but Leonard
He is
is like
the
the
expert.
encyclopedia.
He's the expert. Leonard is on top of it. You need to have Leonard on there more often because your comic book knowledge is like mine, terrible. Hans, you gotta turn your mic down. But then
Dude.
after that,
Man, like we need to turn your mic up.
No, man, like we need you to watch all films before review.
Please.
Go back.
Because when he said something like, "What is that? When did that happen?" You're like, "What?"
Winter Soldier. What is
Is
that?
that a comic book or
Is that
something?
only in the comic book? And I think some of that stuff is supposed to be.
Oh, he was talking about the stones and
The Power Stone.
the Power Stone, and he's like, when did that happen? What is that?
Yeah, it's very funny. Hopefully, Menlek was joking the whole time.
Because
Oh,
I doubt it. Because some of it was.
That was genuine, and I don't understand.
Oh,
what you're talking about.
because honestly, me listening to that this morning
Woke
was
me up.
hilarity.
Listen, it's 7 o'clock this morning. I hear things moving around, and I'm like, okay, Aaron's setting up for the podcast. It happens Sunday morning. I have another hour to sleep, right? Then I hear, oh God, oh God, oh God, and I'm like, something happened. And now I know that he always listens to Back to the Theater while he's doing this.
As you do when you're setting up for your podcast.
However, I thought, oh shit, the cat did something, somebody's gonna die, he broke something, they knocked
I almost broke something. A gut.
And
Right
then
there.
he
Is
starts,
that little spot?
then he starts laughing hysterically, and I'm like, now what do these fools do? So I just got up and got in the shower, but it was not great.
Oh, it was great.
I said it's showing this afternoon at 5
Why
o'clock.
don't I go back and watch it in the movie theater? I want to watch it.
No, I need
Watching
that
it in the movie theater is like not a
I definitely need it on a smaller screen.
right because the
it's-
spot we were in, I was like this the whole time.
It wasn't
we
even.
were
It was.
sold out.
But it wasn't even that. It was just. I need the film to be kind of there.
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt after Black Panther because our
Too
viewing,
much action.
and we were in a 3D, and it was horrible, and I felt like I was constantly like trying to adjust. I was constantly adjusting my glasses, but I felt like I was missing things all around because it was just too much going on, and that movie should not be 3D.
No, I think a lot of them could be because they're for the most part filmed in IMAX, so they're made for 3D. The problem I think we had in China is the theater we were seeing it in was not an IMAX theater.
No.
So
Even though it claimed to be
it
an
was
IMAX.
running a 3D film with conventional 3D glasses, and it just wasn't a very good experience. It was just you needed to be. I think you need to be backed away from it a little bit more, and it just wasn't. It felt like you were missing stuff. Like
Yeah.
you know, it was too much, too fast, too much going on. You know, there were moments like I've watched Black Panther twice since we watched it in the theater, and there's so much that I missed by watching it in the theater.
Just that last fight.
I bought it on my iPad.
Well, you know what got me for a second. Hold on. The when the cars are at night and they're coming out in
Yeah.
almost all of that I missed.
Missed a lot of it, yep.
Blurry.
I bought it on my iPad. I don't usually download movies on my iPad, but I have the best iPad in the house
Why would you do that when we already have it?
because I wanted the HD version and I wanted
got
to
that.
watch it on the plane and
Yeah, got
So-
that. You spent money on something we already had.
yeah.
What the hell? We have it. 1080p. A high quality version of it.
Okay,
What?
I bought it.
What the hell?
I bought it. But now I can watch it at recess.
You could have watched it
I
before.
bought it when we were in China.
Oh.
I didn't buy it here.
Okay.
I bought it when we were in China because I wanted to see it again because I felt like I missed so much.
You did.
And
Just
so
like
when
you did.
I watched it and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that. Wait, when did that happen? I
There was a
didn't
lot going on
realize
there,
those
I'm
were
telling
the colors.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there. Yeah, the I don't know if the colors they weren't really. I can't remember. I don't think I felt that they were bad. I don't think that I felt that they were off. It just felt like
Everything moved too quickly.
it felt very artificial.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to explain it. It didn't feel unreal. It just felt artificial, like like you were watching one. Like you accepted it until you saw what it actually looked like.
Yeah.
Then you were like, oh God, that's not what I saw the first time.
Right. Yep. There's a lot that we missed just by watching it in the theater in China.
And I think if we saw the film the way it was meant to be seen, because of the way it was shot, in the theater equipped correctly,
Yeah.
I think it would have been okay.
Yeah. I feel like though if we had seen it in Thailand or if we'd seen it here versus in China, it would have been an amazingly different experience because the quality we experienced in Thailand and the quality we experienced here outshines China exponentially.
Yeah, here China doesn't.
And they also
I don't think they're getting. Maybe they're not getting a good copy, but I definitely know because the reason I know that we weren't in an IMAX theater is because the IMAX theater was down the hall.
Yeah.
And we weren't in that theater.
Nope.
So, and I think they put the Chinese version
Probably.
in the IMAX theater, and they put the English version in the theater we were in, which then, and I believe that they had to change the movie. Like the version of Black Panther that we saw is not the original version.
No.
Like things were removed.
Yep.
I cannot remember what was not there.
Well, it's funny because when we lived in Phuket and I went to go see 50 Shades of Grey, I was like, okay, they showed a lot more than I expected. But then when I got the movie, after it was released to be at home, it was so different than what I saw because the version that they showed in Thailand and the version that was in the US, not even close. There are huge sections cut out. And I'm like, I remember seeing this in the movie because I was critiquing the movie as I was going because I'd already read the book several times. And so I was like, why would they make this choice when this should have been like this? And
See, that's what I don't read books
yeah. So I don't know. I don't remember enough of Black Panther because I felt when we left the theater, I already felt like I'd missed so much. Like I couldn't remember things because there was so much distraction on the screen. So I don't remember what was missing in the US version versus the Chinese version. But I do remember because I was by myself at the Thai version of 50 Shades. I do remember huge sections that even in the uncut version for the US, they are not in there. Because
They're not in the US version?
They're not in the US version and they're not in the uncut version.
Oh well, yeah. I definitely think that if you're gonna talk about a series, you should probably see the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was such a drastic change in voice, but okay.
Well, they're just hitting puberty. Leave her alone.
Listen.
Alright. What else you got? You got something else? I mean, I got a list, of course. Because, the list is a thing that I'm doing now to make sure that we don't forget stuff. You got anything? You got nothing? Alright, I got another one. How about this one? I wrote down on my list. Air quality. 202. What the hell? Actually, it doesn't say what the hell.
It got up to
You know what I mean.
207, I think.
No. My thing was not this past week, but the week before we were off. What? Thursday and Friday.
Yeah,
Because the quality of air was so bad and the pollution was so bad. But then we were at school and the quality of air was about the same as and higher than it was when we weren't at school. So I was wondering, who is making this decision? Because basically, to me, it felt like we gotta get these kids back to school because these parents are not coming to work. Or we need to get these kids back to school because the parents don't want the kids at home. I mean, because it's like, wait a minute, you sent them back to school and the pollution was the same.
Actually,
or worse.
Like one of my kids came in Monday morning and she said, Mrs. Farr, I'm really worried about the pollution. And I said, okay, what are you worried about? opened up the weather app to see what the level was, and 7 o'clock in the morning, on Monday morning, it was 122. But by 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon, it was 207.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to explain to the child that in China, it's like 300 plus. In Beijing, because she only knows Beijing. Depending on the day. It could go up to like 600. Those are the days when you can't see the buildings across the way. But I was explaining to her there's a difference between the smoke, which is what we were dealing with, and particulate in the air, pollution in the air from factories and cars and coal fires, because China still does everything with coal.
In the north.
And yeah. So she
anyway,
probably have water.
Wuhan's got the dam,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't in the south.
I don't know either. But I was explaining to her the difference and why the mask would make a difference in China, whereas it wouldn't really make a big difference here. And she kind of calmed down a little bit. But then by like 7:10, the kids are starting to complain about the smell of smoke. And I had gotten up that morning like, why does it smell like smoke in here? And you thought I had lit sage, and I thought maybe you had done it in the morning, but it was really smoky in the house.
Yeah, that's a thing I do.
Well, you never know. And so we get to the classroom, and it smells like smoke in the classroom. But then by 7:10, the kids are complaining, Mrs. Farr, my nose is burning, my eyes are burning, my throat is burning, and we're still at school. But the 2 days of the last week before, we weren't at school.
Yep.
And by the end of the day, my throat felt like I was drinking hot nails. It was hot nails. It was so sore and so raw.
Because it would have felt better with cold nails.
No.
Well, yeah, it's not as painful. Duh. You know what?
Because you know, ingesting nails, I have a feeling it doesn't feel good in any
I
circumstance.
enjoy my nails lukewarm.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I like them on ice though. I find they're the best when they're chilled. So.
You know, you can shut it too.
Keep going.
So, but my eyes were burning, my throat was burning, my nose was burning, and that's when I came home and was like, hey, this is what happens. And you look at the thing, you're like, holy shit. Look at this, it's over 200.
Yeah.
And when I asked my co-teacher, it's over 200, does that mean they're gonna call school again? She's like, I doubt it.
Right.
Because they close the government
kids-
offices, they close schools, they close
But if
businesses.
it's unsafe, it seems like something would trip in someone's mind if they're saying it's unsafe on this day and it's this level, and you have the same but higher level another day. Why are you not closing things?
Right.
Seems like you would have to, because intellectually speaking, you need to close it because you closed it before. It's like saying, oh, we got, we're gonna get 4 feet of snow tomorrow. We're not gonna have school, okay? And then a week later, somebody comes along and says, we're gonna get 4 feet of snow tomorrow, and you don't close school, and you get the 4 feet. It's like, why? What are you talking about? It's like you're intellectually dishonest at that point.
Yeah. Yep. And one of the things that really bothered me is they canceled school because of the pollution on Thursday and Friday of the week before. But this week, we were supposed to have Friday with no kids, and which would have given us time to catch up on all of our stuff as teachers to do that we have to do, the grading, the whatever,
There's
the
so much
comments.
stuff that's due tomorrow, and I don't have any of it because I was supposed to do it on Friday.
See?
And we were supposed to have it, and we had kids.
What they ended up doing was canceling the Teachers' Day
Right.
and sending the kids to school.
Yeah.
So we had our students all day on Friday instead of being able to do all of the stuff
that they're telling us to
that the government wants us to have done by Monday, but we're not supposed to work on the weekends.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't have the thing that we're supposed to, because from what I was told, I don't have the thing to do the job that they're asking me to do. So it's like, that's going to be interesting come tomorrow. I don't know what that means. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, air quality. What else you got? That's it? You want another one from the list?
Go for it.
Oh God. See, this is why I have to make the list. These two ain't got shit. Really? You ain't got nothing? You ain't got no Q at the W? You ain't got nothing? Bob? Nothing? Alright. How about lying ass students?
Ooh, I'm so tired of these
Okay,
little
honestly, I don't really want to talk about that. I just said it.
lying ass.
One thing I know for sure, the only thing I really want to say about that is lying is taught. And if your child is lying to you, you're right. You're the problem. Okay? Moving on. How about, without talking about lying ass students, I actually put lying ass students and teachers, but that's one other issue. Responsibility. When should it be taught? And why isn't it stressed in Mexican schools?
Well, responsibility should be taught from the time they are born. If they can take it out, they can put it away.
You have responsibility.
Hey, you said
Poop in your diaper.
You said they can take it out. My brain went to a whole nother place. Why is she saying that?
If you can take the toys out of the box,
Thank
they can
you.
take the clothes
See,
out of the
now
box.
that's way better
They
than
can-
what you said.
They
'cause
can take
they can take it out. It's like,
they can take the pan out of the cupboard. They can take the cat food out of the bowl. They can put it back. Aaron, you used to sit and take the cat food out of the bowl and make designs on the floor.
next.
So you had to put it back.
Okay, yeah, I
From the beginning.
don't understand this idea that a lack of responsibility is a good thing in an educational institution.
Yes, but-
I don't get that.
I sit there.
And I'm not talking about just the students now. I'm talking about a lack of responsibility, top to bottom.
Oh yeah.
If the students are at the top and the top of the school is at the bottom, if that's what you're saying, it's like all the way through. Why is responsibility a thing that's not stressed?
I don't know. I am always flabbergasted that I sit in these parent meetings and the coordinator will talk about how the parents need to give the child responsibility at home and these are the things they should be doing for their age. But then she berated me and was pissed off because I refused to color code their notebooks because they were already labeled on the front, the shelves were labeled where they have to keep them, and it's their responsibility to put the books where they belong when they're finished. It's their responsibility to keep track of their books. It is not my job to do that. And she got so furious because I wouldn't color code the books so that it would make it easier for them. But that's not my job.
Well, apparently it is your job here in Mexico.
I just told her, I said, I'm not creating puppets.
But doesn't that get back to the
Yeah.
question is why
So-
isn't it stressed in Mexican schools? Because it's being removed by the teachers.
But I said to her, how hypocritical are you to sit here and tell me that I have to be the one responsible for their books, but yet you're telling their parents that they need to have more responsibilities at home. It's their responsibility to care for their items.
Yes, but I don't think, especially where we are today, I don't think that anyone sees responsibility as a part of education.
Which is weird.
Which, for us, it's weird. For them, I don't think it is. But for us, it's very weird because we have certain responsibilities as children at home.
Yeah.
So we're coming to school already we're coming to school as 5-6-year-olds, maybe 7-year-olds in kindergarten and first grade.
Uh-huh.
We're coming to school already having certain
Yep.
responsibilities just as being alive children.
Yeah.
You don't just do anything you want to do and that's what I see from a lot of students that are younger. They think that they're just supposed to
Show up.
like everything is, my happy time, my play time. It's like I have zero responsibilities, whereas when I would say most Americans don't get that, they don't get afforded that ability to have that kind of freedom, even in being 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. We don't have that. We have certain expectations. Even if we don't have a ton of responsibility at that point, we do have certain expectations. Right. Like you said, you take it out, you put it back, you clean your room, you pick up these things, you make a mess, you wipe it up. You might even have to walk the dog or something, or you might have to, maybe you do something in the yard, or maybe you help clean when your parents are cleaning the house. I mean, even at that young age, there are certain responsibilities that you have.
Yep.
These kids have come to school all this time and they have not had any of these. I have talked to my 6th graders and I was like, well, when you clean your room, you should do, and they look at you like, what do you mean when I clean my room?
Right, they have somebody that does that for them.
Excuse me, it's your room, you're the one that made it dirty.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be the one that picked it? No, I have this, or my mom, or what are you talking about? You're in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Why is your mom cleaning up your room?
Yeah, well, 6th grader.
Does your mom ever
lay
clean
out
up
your
your
clothes too?
Yeah, everything. And it's understand that that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to get at, is this idea of responsibility. Yes, it's absent in elementary education in this country, apparently. Definitely at the school, but from what I understand, it's not just the school when it comes to that. But in elementary education, it's like that's the foundation for what comes next. And it would seem to me that would be important for the next level, middle school. Once they leave elementary, it seems like that would be sort of important. Like those teachers, those parents would want their children, because I had a meeting on Friday, and I'm sitting there basically saying your child did not take the responsibility to do their work. We've had weeks and weeks. Your child had plenty of time. All of this stuff, none of this stuff is homework. This was all classwork. It's like, okay, if that's the case, then who should we talk to? I'm to the point now where all parent meetings just basically need to have the child there.
Oh,
we're at the end of this. Basically by Friday, we're at the end of, I'm done. Right. Essentially, because there's no new information that can be taught, because nothing is going to go in the grade book. So anything you're teaching, there's no grade ramification. But you might as well go ahead and just kind of write off the next month, because the kids, if they didn't do the work when they were going to get a grade, what makes you think they're going to be like, oh yeah, I need to get this done, or I need to focus on this? No, they're not going to focus on these things. You're going to be giving them busy work for a month, and
we're going to be babysitting for a month.
Which is really not good.
No.
Because that's when they're going to have most of their issues when it comes to behavior and all that stuff, because basically they know. It's like this is why when you're in high school and you're going to graduate that year, this is why your graduation is so early.
Yeah.
Because once you finish and they have to get the grades in, get you out, send you home. Because if you're going to stay at school, you're just going to be a troublemaker at that point, because you have no reason to be there.
Yep.
You're done. And I think our kids, they're going to be going through that same process right now, because they're ending elementary school, and it's just like, why are you here? I'm not going to understand why they would come. If I'm a parent and I'm allowed 30 days, 35 days of not having, I would have saved up all those days for this last month.
Oh yeah.
I would have done no travel. My child would have been at school from day one all the way until this Friday.
Yep.
And once this Friday came, we'll see you at graduation.
Well,
because there's no reason for my child to come back here.
There was a child who he hasn't missed, I'm going to say maybe 5 days the whole school year. And for Mother's Day, his mom booked a cruise for their family. But he was going to be gone that next week. Well, we didn't go to school on Wednesday because it was Teacher's Day, and then we had Thursday and Friday off. So now the mom was like, yes, that means I have 2 more extra days. I bet you we won't see that kid after the 11th of June.
Okay.
which
But
is
I mean,
okay with
But I mean,
me.
the idea, one, this idea that you have 35 days to miss school,
Which is
absolutely psycho. I mean, there's no way that anybody should have that kind of allotment of missing school. Because honestly, the idea of go to school unless you're sick, unless you're like incapacitated, that rule that we had back in the day, like I went years without missing school. I think I got all the way to like my senior year, and then I got chicken pox, and then I missed school. But outside of that, and before that, I like never missed school. When it like elementary and middle, it's like I never missed school. I was always there.
I had to be
kind of like this job. I'm always there.
I had to be dying to be able to miss school, and even
Like I said,
then,
I didn't even have that.
I had in my
Dying was not an option.
in 7th grade, I missed a total of 17 days of school because I had tonsillitis, and then I ended up having to have my tonsils out, so I missed school for 17 days total.
But your tonsils are fine.
China.
They checked her tonsils in China and told her that they were fine.
They also checked my uterus and said it was okay.
It was okay too.
I don't have either.
They've been gone for a while.
So,
But they're okay wherever they are.
They're good. They're good. So I
What
had
jar they got stuck in.
right.
Perfect.
They don't.
They're on vacation. What are you talking about?
We threw a bon voyage
They're out.
party.
No. You may have thrown a party. They went to the beach
Yeah.
or whatever.
So, I remember my mom getting in trouble with the state because I had missed that many days in a school year. And my mom had to go back to the hospital and get proof that I had been there so many times. I had to have letters from my doctor saying I had strep and tonsillitis and all the dates. And she had to go and meet with some mediator so that I didn't get held back and so that she didn't get in trouble by the state.
Well, that's a whole nother issue, is the idea of being held back.
Now, I had all my work done.
Yes, but
I hadn't been
if
in
you,
the classroom.
If you're right, if you don't come for a certain amount of days, you don't come for a certain.
Now,
you weren't there. Like if you count the days,
Right.
You have to have this amount, this minimum. If you
From-
have
I
that
think it
minimum,
was-
you're going to do that year again.
I think it was from like October to March I had missed the 17 days, and that was too much. I remember when Aaron and Keegan were in school, and I was volunteering in the office, and I had to send letters home to parents for kids who had missed 11 days through the school year by March. And I can't even imagine what the hell they would do here. Because my kids get to like 18, 20 days, and I'm like, hey, we need to let these parents know they don't have much time left.
I don't
We have kids that are
If
over
the-
40 days, and
The students are not. The students are within their parents' care. The parent should know how many days that their child hasn't been there.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you would think if they're the ones that kept them home.
Well, I would say if they're sick, because we had a thing of the flu, where we had a lot of kids that were testing positive for the flu, and they would be gone 5 to 7 days.
I know, but the parents should know how many days their child has not been to school. They're the ones not.
I don't know that they
They're
keep
the
track of
ones
it.
not sending them.
I agree, but I don't think they keep track of it.
Well, therein lies the responsibility issue, right?
Yep.
I mean, what you're saying is the parents are not responsible for the kids. The kids are not responsible. I had a child walk in one day and said, "Can I go to my locker?" And I said, "No, you can't go to your locker during this time. It's the 20 minutes or whatever between like 7:10 to 7:30. The first class starts at 7:30." And in that time, they're not supposed to be out there in the hallway. They're not supposed to be at their locker. Okay. That was the rule from the very beginning of the school year. And it's like, okay, fine. If that's the rule, I will enforce it. So the child comes to me and says, "Can I go to my locker?" And it's now. It's been a whole year. It's like, why are you even asking? You already know the answer to this question. And they say, "Well, I came to school late." Why did you come to school late? Because that's what time I got dropped off. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, no.
But why didn't you go to your locker before you came in?
They couldn't. They couldn't.
Before
They
they
were
came
they
in.
were after that time. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, no, you can go later, but no, you're not gonna be able to go now. And they were like, but why not? It's like, but because you know your rules. But it was my parents' fault. It's like, then maybe you should talk to your parents. Tell them that you can't go to your locker if you come after 7:10. To make sure that they understand that getting to school late has ramifications that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
So why not? When are you going to talk to them? Because if they're bringing you to school, that's, I mean, when I have been and I have seen kids that have been like, Mom, Dad, it's getting late. I gotta go. I gotta be at school.
Yep.
You know, and you know, when the bus was like, when you're in high school and the bus comes late.
Woo,
You know, and you're like, come on, you know, you're killing me.
Yep.
I'm the one that's gonna get in trouble. Now, granted, if the bus is late and the school system runs the buses, then yes, you get that communication. Everybody on that bus doesn't get in trouble. But, you know, you are almost not allowed to use those things as excuses for you not doing something.
Right.
And because you have to take the responsibility, even though it wasn't your fault.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing it's not here. It's not among this group of people that we're around every day.
Yeah.
This idea that it may not be your fault, but you're going to be responsible for it. It's like one of the kids can't wear jeans to PE. And I don't know why they do this, because the kids can't wear jeans to PE. They write in their books, but then nothing happens. I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Why write in the book? Why waste the time? Why do anything if nothing's going to ever happen? Because literally nothing ever happens. But one of the kids said, are we doing this thing? And I said, no, not today, that's tomorrow. And they were like, oh no, I'm wearing jeans and I have PE, and I thought I was going to be in this thing because it was Thursday and they weren't supposed to have school on Friday and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was like, I know it's not your fault, but it looks like you got to pay for it.
Right.
And they were, and this particular student was like, yeah, you're right. But that's also a student that takes responsibility for the things that they do on a daily basis. Whereas the other students would have been arguing that they shouldn't get in trouble. It's like, but you still have PE.
Yeah.
It's still even, anything can happen, you know, and being prepared for what might happen is that's you taking responsibility. I mean, why not? Why didn't you just bring another pair of pants?
Right.
Everybody would let you change. Why not just change? You know, it's like, why were you not prepared for the possibility that you would have that class? And that, you know, but that is the issue. Taking responsibility.
Yep.
You knew your schedule. Your parents couldn't tell you what to do because your parents don't know your schedule.
Yep.
Shit, I don't know your schedule. All I knew was my schedule. You know.
Should I still look at my schedule every day?
Well, of course. But I mean,
I'm not gonna keep that
you know,
in my head.
yeah, it's too much. You know, I've got 4 different classes, and they're coming for 2 different subjects.
I have 2 classes, but my kids go to. I have them each half of the day, so this
They're
day,
going
and
all
they
over the place.
switch weeks. So one week I start with the one group and end with the other, and then the next week they switch. So I'm never gonna remember.
All right, let's go to another topic. The big topic that only I can talk about. You can't talk about. You can't talk about it.
Well, let's hear it then.
But there's not. I can't talk about it because I'm the only one. End of the Game of Thrones.
Oh, can't help you there.
See?
I
She
haven't
ain't
seen-
watched none.
I haven't seen 30
Now, here we go
seconds of that
again.
show.
You should watch that show. Here we go again. All over again.
Just like
New
you should
show.
watch Stranger Things and all the other
See,
shows. that
here we
we
go
keep
again
saying.
with you should watch, and now you're gonna pull a mental like say you don't like this kind of stuff. It's like, you know
I
what?
didn't say I didn't like that kind of stuff.
Then why aren't you watching it?
Meh.
See, man, is what I get. Come on now, watch the Game of Thrones. You'll really like it.
I gotta.
And he's now watching Game of Thrones. You're in season 2, right?
I think I started season 3.
Oh, see, he's moving up. So he's on season 3. What do you think about Game of Thrones so far? Don't spoil it. If I put the little sign over your head, maybe I'll make, you know, him say spoiler man or something.
Just never the whole
Yeah, because you are the spoiler. The spoiler. Don't spoil it.
That's your
Give us your impressions, not
your
spoilers.
villain name.
The spoiler. That's it? These are your impressions? Okay.
Trying to think of a way not to say.
Oh God, see, he can't do it without spoiling things. All right, yeah,
You
Game of
would know what
Thrones
I'm
is
talking
over.
about.
It's finished. I think everybody should definitely watch the show. It's pretty good. It's worth the time and effort of watching. Please don't do what I heard on the Chuck Toddcast. One of their guests had seen the first 2 shows from the first season and then watched the finale.
Well, Jess told me just this morning that she watched the first season and then she watched the last season.
No.
Yeah, but she had watched.
Absolutely
hadn't
not.
She watched all of them before.
She watched the first season and she watched the last season.
No, see, that's just wrong. You missed too much. Way too much stuff.
Because
I can't even remember everything that
I was
happened.
ranting to her about Menelek and how you're gonna critique a
Really?
film
You
when
gonna
you
rant?
when you hadn't done the thing, because she's seen all of them like 50 times and she's like, yes, but I watched the first season of Game of Thrones and then the last. And I was like, what? She's like, but I don't care about Game of Thrones. Marvel.
But see, that's just it. The caring thing. What I don't understand is, this is like the only medium where people skip things. If you are reading an actual book of that same story and you started, I can see people starting and not finishing. Like, I started watching Big Bang Theory, right? And I watched many seasons of that. And then it got to a point where it's just like, I just don't feel like watching it. It's like, it's less than that. It's just like, it's just not really all that interesting. So then you stop watching. I get that. I get that if you're reading. I get that if you're watching. So I get that if you're listening to a song and you're like, yeah, okay, it's all right, but I'm not. Yeah, I want to get away from this. Go to another thing. But I don't understand people who are slightly interested. Say at the beginning, you're watching it. You're not interested anymore, and then you come back to the end. Like, who reads the first chapter and the last chapter of something? Why would you ever do that?
I never do that.
But I'm saying you would never.
But I know people who do.
But why would you do that? You stopped being interested. Why did you read the last chapter?
I don't know.
And in Game of Thrones, if you did that with the books, it'd be like the first book, the first chapter, and the last
chapter of the last book.
And there's what, like 8 of those? 7?
8 books?
6 or 7, I think.
Listen, the only time I have ever in my life
I want to say 5.
not finished a series of books, it was a real struggle to get into the first book. And the only reason I kept reading the damn thing was because I was reading it with the ballet mom. And she's like, keep going, it's really good. And I kept reading and it was not really good. And I had ordered the 3rd book because it had just released. And I had the 2nd book, so I did an all-nighter. I finished the book, and I opened the 2nd book, and I read the first page of the 2nd book. I closed that shit, went to Amazon, and canceled the 3rd one and put the 2nd one on the shelf. I've never touched it again.
Which book is this?
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and the Girl Who Played with Fire.
But see, that's just it. I get starting something, not feeling it, putting it down. Totally. Fine.
But
I don't get. But then if you were so interested to go to the end, it seemed like you would have been interested to then go through the whole thing to find out what the hell what led to this ending. Because just to read the end, what does that tell you?
Right.
It tells you nothing without context of all the stuff that came before. You know, oh, this woman gets knighted. Okay, but who is the woman? Why is this important? Like, why are you even doing this? It's like you can't watch the end without the middle. And I would say that most people in media that they think is worth it, they do that. They have this rule, the same thing I'm saying. But I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand.
That's
If you weren't interested, just stop.
That's like the kids saying, oh, Mrs. Farr, have you seen this Harry Potter movie? Yes, I've seen them all. Have you read this book? Because I'm reading book 3. Okay. Did you read book 1 and 2? No, I'm reading book 3. Then why are you reading book 3?
Right.
You don't know all the things you need to know to get to book 3.
There are times when you have things that feel like the order is janky. the thing that comes to mind is the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Because what is book 1, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, is not book 1 because there's a book that comes 2 books. The third book is The Magician's Nephew, and that's actually book 1.
Yeah.
So there is that issue sometimes in books. So I can understand, say, somebody read the first 2 books, or someone read the first book, The Magician's Nephew, and they didn't read the rest or something. I can get that because there's this ability to read it in chronological order or read it in the order they were published. I get that confusion, but I like people. There are those people that will go back and they'll read the last chapter of a book first.
Yeah, my friend who's a writer.
I can't get with that.
She's not only she's a published author, and she will read the first chapter and the last chapter, and then go and read the rest of the book. And I'm like, but why would you do that?
Why not just read the book?
But it seems like it's
like
literal. It's a literal spoiling the book for yourself.
I can't. Like,
I mean, it kind of makes sense if you've already read it. If you've already done it once.
Yeah, but if you've already read it, why would you need to read
you
the
don't
last
do
chapter?
that
Why would you
ever.
need to?
You don't ever do that. It's never okay to do that. Like, I have this thing where if I start a series, I cannot move to another one without finishing that one first. And I can't read the first book in a series and not read all of them.
Yeah, but you can't.
Even
I
if
know.
it's 12
People
or
don't do that with
15
TV,
books.
though. People don't do that with TV.
Yeah,
Sure
but
they do.
if you're watching, see,
I'm sitting here binge watching every night The Nanny from season 1 to season 6, and not to season 6 yet. But I'm binge watching in order. I've seen all of them already many times. But you do that when you watch TV shows.
I know, but if you're watching, your thing was, I don't move on to another thing until this is finished. And you don't do that with TV.
no.
You watch kind
You
of
watch
like
lots
everything.
of things at the
Yeah.
same time.
And in different stages of the show, because you might start a new show, but you might be the 5th season in like 5 other ones. So you just don't do that with TV.
TV is kind of a different medium, but I don't get this idea of skipping pieces of a story. I don't understand that. I mean, even if you don't like it, it's like you kind of have to stick with it. If you're gonna go through to the end, it seems like you need the missing pieces because there are gonna be details that are gonna carry over. There are things that are gonna move. Why would you want to miss all of that? And the idea of importance, you never know what's gonna be important to you until you read it or see it.
Right?
So
one line in a movie may not be anything, and then it ends up being an
issue,
entirely
yeah.
new thing in that next movie.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not talk about that. All right. Don't. So
It could be
here we
worse,
go.
but I'm not gonna-
Let's see what else do I have here. I got 2 more things.
Go for it.
I have. This is an expat thing. Yeah. Hey man, bring some. Where's your list? You gotta bring something to the table. We're at the table, literally. So you ain't got nothing to bring to the table, and you gotta complain about my shady business practices against expats?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Really?
Here's what I don't understand.
Can I?
We're
Where's my
invited.
sling ring? I need to.
We are invited to
Yes.
come to this country, to any country that we go to. We are invited. We don't usually go without jobs. We have expectations based on what we are told, right? We have expectations that based on what we were told, what our contract says.
Contract. There was no contract.
We have expectations based on their word. So when we get emails that say you should expect X, Y, and Z by this date, and we don't get that because we're the expats. What the fuck? You just told me in English that I should expect this. And because your HR or your whoever is in charge of your accounting department doesn't give a shit about the expat teachers, we get fucked all the time.
Yeah, I don't think. I think the school, or not just schools, but the businesses that have people working that are from outside of the country do not realize the damage that they do to themselves, their brand, their business,
Their country.
when they, country is, but I don't think they realize
From a business level.
yeah, from like how detrimental it is to hurt their own citizens. But when you hurt expats and you don't do what you're supposed to do for them, how that, if you rely on expats in any way for whatever thing, yeah, it's like that word, like you can mess over, like we're in Mexico, so you can mess over a Mexican person. That person might just leave and go find another job, but they never talk about you again because that's the way the culture is here. Whereas, and they do it, they actually do it because they're human, but they do it quietly. But expats tend to have networks that do reach around the world.
Yep.
And when someone says, oh, should I go to this country? Expats will say,
Nope.
no, don't go to that country and think that, I mean, if you want to go to visit, sure, absolutely, go and visit. But if you want to go and work there, like I'll tell everybody, go to Thailand. Don't work
yes,
in
it's
Thailand.
beautiful.
Don't live in
Visit.
Thailand, but go and work, go and visit Thailand, yes. Same thing with China, go to China. I tell everybody to go to China
Yeah,
because
me too.
you'll appreciate the shit out of your home country by going to China. But the should you go there and work there? Well, there are some things you might want to know about living and working there that only expats can express.
Right.
Because a person from that country is always going to downplay the bad things, and they're gonna make the good things sound better than they are. But expats are not going to do that. They're just going to, unless they've drunk the Kool-Aid, they're gonna give you an honest idea. Now they may have accepted what is there in that country, but
Yeah.
a lot of times expats are, if they get messed over by a job, by the country, by the immigration, by all of those things
By the
that
local people.
we have to deal with. If you do that, that word gets out. I mean,
Yep.
it goes everywhere. It's like it comes and
social
and
media.
it's funny. It comes back to us because we like you're not even thinking about what is it like to work in Thailand, and all of a sudden in your feed, say on Facebook or something, there's somebody railing against, say, working as a teacher in Thailand or trying to start a business in Thailand
Yep.
or whatever, and it's like yep,
Yep.
that's pretty accurate.
We've experienced it.
And they it's funny because people always act like, oh, don't say those things about that. It's like, but it's true.
Right.
Why are you trying to hide what's true about? I understand what's true about the country, but if this is the way your business is and this is what you do, trust me, everybody's gonna know.
Yep.
It's not gonna stay a secret, and a lot of times it won't be your most disgruntled people doing the talking. They don't want to think about you anymore. How much have I talked about the school in San Shui since we left?
Nah.
And you talk about one of the worst schools ever? That's it. Especially in dealing with the program that I was doing and all of that stuff. That was literally one of the worst because they didn't want us there.
Right.
And they kept lying to our bosses saying that they wanted us there. And then when we were there, they didn't want us to be there. So it's like, okay, well, why are we here? But they didn't, they had to save face. And that was their most important thing, was to save face with people in Beijing, people in another part of the country, with people that they used to work for or work with. It's like, no, hell no. It's like, if you didn't want an international program, you should have said you didn't want an international, and never brought one there. But don't have an international program that you don't want to have good students in and take all the good students. I mean, you know, it's like, duh. But okay, fine. 2.5 years of your life, gone. But this idea that you should keep quiet, don't tell anybody, don't tell the truth about where you are. You know, no, that's never gonna happen, because basically, like for us here, the people that are Mexican are also seeing what's happening to the expat.
Yep.
And they're also going to talk about what happened when they used to have foreign teachers in their school. And they're going to be telling that story. So even if the expats are all quiet, the story still gets out.
Yep.
And I think if companies are going to be successful in this internationally connected world, they're going to have to start really focusing on that. You cannot hurt those people. I mean, you don't have to treat them with kid gloves either, but you do need to pay attention to this idea that if we do the wrong thing with these people, it might hurt us in the short term and the long term.
It's an entire group of people
Right.
that's all over the place.
Well, and I think
It's an entire culture at this point.
this school is
Culture of expats.
this school, that our current situation has been a nightmare since day one for us. And in the beginning, I thought it was just us, but I keep hearing from all the other foreign teachers that they're having the same problems. And I wonder, how has this school been around for so long and they're still having all these same problems? And then I found out they've only had foreign teachers for a few years. But they've had foreign teachers for a few years. They should know that they don't make it so that the visa ends on the last day of school and not the last day of the contract. They should know that if you have dependents, your dependents need visas. They should know all of these things. They should know that if there's a salary situation, they should know how to take care of that before there's an actual issue.
Actually, there really shouldn't be salary situations.
Right.
I mean, everybody has their particular salary, their particular contract. The salary situations really shouldn't be situations, and fixing them should not take months, but hours. Because honestly, what you're honestly saying is, I don't know how to type a number in a computer.
Right.
Because that's where the everything gets generated. It's literally a typing 10 key issue.
Yeah.
And if you can't do 10 key by touch, you look at it.
Right.
It's not that hard. You fix. I mean, I've had times in places where you get your check. I'm sorry, you get your direct deposit, and it's wrong, and you tell your boss, and the boss calls accounting and says, my employee is saying that it's wrong, can you please check this? And then all of a sudden you have another deposit.
Not even 20 minutes later.
Of the amount
Yeah.
that is the difference between, and they have fixed it because it was some computer error or somebody fat fingered something or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Or they were looking
this
at
is
the wrong contract and-
right, but in the age of computers,
Yep.
this is not an issue anymore, because once you set it up correctly, then it runs monthly.
Yeah.
It runs weekly.
Saves
It's
it
not
and
a
it just goes.
right. It's not a thing that you have to manually type the checks up.
Right.
before- It's like this is not how that works anymore.
Nope.
And unfortunately, I think we have the technology. A lot of countries have the know-how, but we keep going to countries where a lot of that know-how it's not there in total.
Well,
Some of it here, some of it there, but maybe not all of it. So then things seem disjointed and messed up, and we keep getting put in that situation. That's why it's like, do you want to keep working in that country? But then you go to the next country and you find a similar situation.
Right.
And
We
you keep
never
doing
had
that over and
paid-
over and over and over and over and over.
we never had pay issues in China.
That's not true.
We were always paid in China.
Well, we were always paid.
Pay issue.
But see, in China, when we went, the first place we went in China, we had no issues.
At
What
all.
was on the contract is what we got paid.
Sometimes we get
the
random
same-
bonuses.
Well, it was
without-
the same time.
Yep.
It was totally on the up and up, but it was not a bureaucracy that we were dealing with.
Nope.
We weren't dealing with the school. We were dealing with the person.
Yep, right.
Whereas all of the other places were companies and, oh, I have to call this person. And it's like, well, if you tell that person to pay us this amount, why is it not happening? I mean, you're the owner of the company. You're the director of the whatever. You're the person over this particular program. You are the person that I go to. Why is it not happening the way you say it's supposed to happen?
Right. If everybody else works for you,
Well,
why aren't
if you're the top
Right.
of whatever that organization happens to be, because I was in, school after school, and it was different reasons why things would get messed up. Because they were trying to say at one time, I think in China, because they didn't have a certain amount of students, that our pay had to be changed or something, and it was like, what are you talking about? My contract is.
That was in Wuhan, right?
Yeah, but my contract is my contract. It's like, it
Yep.
doesn't really matter how many students you recruited, that's my contract.
Right.
That's what you signed, that's what I signed, so we just move on from there, because that's not really anything to discuss. But they were trying to make it seem like, the fact that we didn't do this thing means that you have to take less. It's like, no, of course not. It's like, if that's the case, then let me out my contract. I'll go to the next place where they actually do business like people who do business.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a weird thing that I think a lot of companies really need to focus on is, and it could be, and companies in the States are the same way. I just think that our labor laws dictate that everybody behaves a certain way because our labor laws have been this way for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And HR, human resources, FYI, human resources is supposed to be a resource not for the company, but for the resource for the workers that are doing all the work. That's what human resources is supposed to be, a liaison between the two.
Yep.
It's not supposed to be, we're only looking out for the top management of the company, and we're only looking out for those people. We're not looking out for the people who are doing all the work, because they seem like they got that backwards here. They're protecting something, or protecting people, or protecting feelings, but they're not understanding that the people that need to use you don't have a human resources department and nobody there. That's not
Or
that
one
makes no
person
sense.
who's there who is so sensitive and unprofessional that she refuses to do her job.
Okay, a person that can't do their job should not be there.
Yeah.
Duh. But I mean, this idea that you have people in human resources, but they can't do that thing that allows the people to do their job well.
Yep.
If you're always worried about your pay, then you're gonna have a hard time doing your job every day. If you're always worrying about a hostile work environment, you're gonna have a hard time
If
doing it.
you're
I don't care
always-
what your company is. I don't care what you do.
Right.
If human resources is not working for you so that you can do a good job, then that department is just a waste of time.
If
It's
you're
like, why are you
constantly-
hiring them?
If you're constantly watching the calendar because you know that your visa is about to expire and your human resources department isn't doing their job to make sure that the visas are taken care of, then you can't do your job as effectively, because you have this constant amount of stress that has nothing to do with actually being able to do your job.
What? I'm sick.
Yeah, but you could have gone over there.
No, I can't. I have nowhere to go. I am trapped.
You are not trapped.
I am trapped in this little strip right here.
I'm so sorry for the blowing of this.
Hey, at least I didn't do it right into the microphone.
But you did though.
No, I didn't.
Microphone right there.
And right there.
You kind of did.
No, I didn't.
Ask them.
At least it's not smacking up the
I'm
lips.
sick, man.
I don't want to hear it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. And it's funny because in looking in the next school, it's like the same thing. It's like, we don't know. we don't know, and there's like the whole we're gonna string you along, and as far as I'm concerned, I can't deal with that for much longer. I can't deal with this level of uncertainty because I've been dealing with it since Wuhan.
Right.
You know, in Thailand, you knew you would get answers, okay? And if they didn't know, they would try to lie to you, but if you pressed them a little bit, they'd find out.
Right.
But in China, in Wuhan, it was bad. I mean, real bad. In Sensuai, it was even worse. Bigger school, bigger bureaucracy,
So bad
a
that
whole lot of
podcast
people that
got
did
started.
not know anything about anything.
Yeah.
And then,
Shit, we had to teach your assistant how to do our visas.
well, I mean, the problem is, I think, in different places, the people that are inside of the government, they don't have good information.
No.
either. And I
Because
think
what they
that's
do
part
is
of
they
the
have
problem.
one person who can do this one page. And then the stack of papers goes to the next person who does the one page. And if that one person isn't there,
Then nobody knows what to do.
then it's all stopped.
Yep. And that's what, I mean, well, shit, when we were getting our cards here, all of the cards got stopped because the card
One
machine
There's one
didn't
machine.
work. And it's like, wait a minute, you have one machine?
For the whole state.
It's like, who has one machine? Why would you have one machine in this one off? What, are you crazy? It's like, but, you know, responsibility.
Yep.
Who's responsible to making sure, I mean,
And it was
how many,
down for months.
how many million people live in Mexico City?
Almost 9 million.
So out of 9 million people that work here, you're telling me there's not enough tax revenue to get 2 machines per? Or to have maybe a couple backups that work so that when one machine goes down, you swap out the machines and then the other machine goes away. And this is kind of what I used to do when I did computers. You don't go and try to fix the one machine. You go and you swap out the machines, give them a good machine. They are now back up and working in hours or less. And then you take that machine back and you try to fix it. And then once you fix it, maybe you swap it back out, but maybe you don't need to. Because you have policies and procedures in place that it doesn't matter which box they have.
Right.
You just need the machine to work so that they can then access all their stuff. Well, in a place that's just making plastic cards,
It looks like a driver's license.
what? You know, that takes like minutes. It doesn't, it's not like a long-term
But
thing.
I said that about our IDs for school, our badges for school. Why did it take 2 months to get this little badge when in college
They would have it right there for you.
they would print that shit out and hand it to you?
Yes.
They take your picture, they print it, you go over there, sign the paper, get the card, and off you went.
Seconds.
The technology is there. It's not a hard thing.
And it's not expensive at this point to have a machine when you all have 1,800 people.
And you know what's funny about that is they used to do that, and the card was laminated right in front of you.
Oh,
Especially at universities, they would take the picture, print your picture out, then they would cut it,
I have one of those
and
still.
then they would put it in the little frame for your thing,
Yep.
have you sign the paper, put it all together, put it in the plastic, run it through the machine, take it out of the machine, and hand it to you
Yes,
hot.
but now they hand you, like when I went to CC, when I had my student ID taken
This
there,
was like 100 years ago, right?
No,
When you went
this
to
was-
CC.
this was 15 years ago.
See?
But it wasn't 100 years
Yeah,
ago.
keep going.
But they took my picture.
I was 2.
Yes.
Keep going.
They took my picture and with the thing attached to the computer and print right there, and the card came out with the picture all ready to go. Could be swiped, could be what money put on it, whatever. It was there in seconds. In less than 2 minutes, I
Yeah,
had my card.
I honestly, if you're gonna give people a card that has like no meaning, like it doesn't have a strip on the back, it doesn't need to be programmed. Even if you are, it really is not that hard. But let's say you don't have that. If you have a card that way, that's literally just a piece of plastic, it should take, I don't know,
Seconds.
less than 10 minutes to go from no card to a card in your hand. The problem that I see is bureaucracy. It's we have to send it here, and we have to do this thing.
They
and,
outsource
It's like,
everything.
honestly, no, you actually don't. Rent the machine. Do it all in-house. And basically the same time that you gave that card, everybody should have got their contracts.
Yep.
And all you do is have everybody sit down, go through the contracts, sign the contracts. If you need to do banking things, you just do the banking thing. Here's your card. Here's this. Here's that. You're done. Good next. It's not that hard.
Shouldn't take months.
It doesn't take. It doesn't. There are certain, and we ran into this in China. It's like it should not take this long. There are things that happen inside of bureaucracies that take a long time only because you've got a stack of papers over here and you've got the one person doing the job. It's like, but why do you only? It happened to us in Thailand, where our stuff was literally sitting in a stack behind someone's desk in this stack, and they were taking them out of order based on
Who paid money?
Yeah. And they were pulling the things out, and you walked into the office and I was looking and they were like, there's your folder right there. It's like, why is mine close to the top but it's not being taken? Oh, well, they're just taking it from wherever they want to take it from. It's like, but why would you do that?
Money.
You know?
Somebody slipped.
But yeah, like I said, corruption, lying, all of that goes together.
Uh-huh.
You know, lying is taught.
Yep.
You know, corruption is taught. You know, it's like,
I
also honesty is also taught.
I actually sent an email home to a parent this week about that very thing because there was a situation where
You don't have to tell the situation, please.
There was a situation with some boys, and the one child who brought it to my attention was honest. Yes, I did this thing. And he's like, I played a role, but they went further than they should have. And so the school psychologist is like, he needs to have a punishment letter sent home. And I'm like, but why? He was honest about his role in it. Why would I do that? So I sent a note home to the parents, an email to the parents saying, you should be proud of your child's honesty, because he had an opportunity 3 or 4 times to lie about the situation, and he was honest the entire time, which is not common for these kids at 9 years old. And so I wanted him to know, and I wanted the parents to know that that is a valued thing. Parents had no clue. Kid never said anything to them about the situation at school. And when the child came back the next day, he didn't know anything about the email. And so I asked him, did your parents read the email? He's like, I don't know. So while we're sitting at the end of the day, I get a response from his mom. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for telling us, blah, blah, blah. We'll make sure he gets something. Next day he comes back, he's like, Mrs. Farr, I get to go on a trip because I was honest. I was like, okay. I would rather them reward honest behavior than make excuses for lying and cheating and irresponsibility.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, be honest. Great, but you don't get to go on a trip because you were honest.
What was your the sign outside of your classroom on the big chalkboard about corruption? How much corruption is in the country?
Oh, they wrote up there. That's not mine.
It wasn't you. It was the sign outside of your room.
Don't put that out there, because next thing you know, I'll be in trouble for writing something on a chalkboard that I don't even write on. I don't even use chalk.
Okay, what did the students put on the chalkboard?
They put percentage of people corrupt in Mexico, 80%. And then they put the number of people corrupt in Mexico, 20%. Which didn't make any sense to me, because when I read it and it was in Spanish and it was like, where's the not corrupt people? And they said, well, they're all corrupt. Okay. I don't know why you brought that up, but
because
that had nothing to do with me.
Because
that had nothing to do with me.
Aaron's saying you shouldn't reward the child for being honest with a trip.
I'm saying
when we have we're in a culture that the kids believe is 100% corrupt.
Yeah, I know. I was honest. I knew if I was honest, I wouldn't get in as much trouble. Okay, fine. You don't get to go on a trip because you were honest. You may get a
That's like
Nothing.
saying
You get a good job. You were honest. Don't do that thing again.
That's
What are
like
you
Keegan
talking
coming
about?
downstairs right now saying I cleaned my room and then I say, great, here's some money. Hell no.
No, it's like
You
good.
did the thing you were
to do
supposed
that.
to do.
You don't
Right.
have to go on a trip because
Yeah,
you're
I don't-
honest.
I
That's
don't-
super
No.
stupid.
But you have to remember we're also in a culture of that reward culture inside of schools. That thing that we never do.
Right.
Is rewarding people for things that they're supposed to be already be doing.
Giving a
and
child a
acting
sticker
like-
for completing their work in the day.
No, but we do. But they do it with adults too.
I know.
You know, it's like this idea. Oh, I gave you something. It's like, but I'm supposed to do this. This is my job. I mean, this
is why you
I'm
hired
under,
me and
I'm
you're paying
under
me.
contract to do these things. Why are you surprised when I do them? I'm
That's
doing
my
exactly
job.
what I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be doing.
That says
I don't
way
look
more
for
about
anything more than my paycheck on time. That's it. Give
And
me my
complete.
full pay and on time. I'm done because that is what the contract says. You do this job, we will pay you this money. Okay, that's a good thing.
I'm gonna do my job.
You know, so I do my job, and that's what. and I think that kind of coldness about employer-employee relationships and how that gets met out. That's what's very different across the world.
Yes.
And in the United States, we are really like, you know, I need to make sure that I understand every letter of this contract. You understand every letter of the contract. We sit down with HR and the manager and you, and we talk about it and we negotiate it and we go through it and everybody has an understanding before you sign it. And then when we sign it, this is our operating procedure now from now on for the length of that contract. That is your Bible. And you don't, and if you have any questions, you go back to that contract and you ask those questions to your contract. You don't go back to HR. You don't go to any. You go to your contract. This is what it says. This is what I'm supposed to do. Is there if there something needs to be, if there needs to be an addendum, if there needs to be an adjustment, then we all have to come back together again and go through this process again. That is what contract means. But it doesn't mean that anywhere, any country we've been in since,
No.
we still don't even have our contracts in this current place. I don't have it in English either. So it's like, if there's any problem, and in China we had two contracts, one in English and one in Chinese that didn't say the same thing.
Right.
So I mean, you're this idea that you're just supposed to just go along with what any manager says. No, what does my contract say? My contract says I'm supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to just do anything that anybody says at any time.
Right.
Just because they consider themselves a manager. It's like, no, that's what you would do if you didn't have contracts. But once you have a contract, you can't have like 20 contracts. You can't have all of your teachers under different contracts. They all basically have to say the same thing, because then it would be like, then why is that person doing, like, you're not allowed to wear sneakers. But then I walk into school and I see, a bunch of teachers wearing sneakers. What's in the contract? Well, the contract doesn't even say anything about sneakers.
Nope,
so then
it has no dress
then
code
where's the
at
rule?
all.
Why is there a rule about conduct when there's no rule in the contract about what that contract should be, one way or the other? It's like, no.
There's no written in
Like I said, this
playbook.
idea
There's
about
no-
contracts, sticking to contracts, sticking to what you say, the whole idea of coming to an agreement and shaking hands, I found that's not a thing around the world. That is a thing in the United States. I don't know if it's a thing in England, but it's damn sure not a thing here in Mexico or China or Thailand. This idea that yes, we come to an agreement and we both stick to it. No, that's not here. And it's kind of sad because we grew up in a world that, people say it all the time, my word is my bond.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not happening. Outside of the United States, I haven't found it yet.
No. And usually their word means
And I'm not saying the
nothing.
United States is so high and mighty. I'm just saying that in the United States, it is an expectation.
But we
And
also
outside the United
have-
States, it's not an expectation at all.
Workers have legal repercussions that we have pathways that we can take.
Well, all workers do in their countries.
but the expats
may
do not.
But But you know, you always hear these stories about expats who have taken this previous company to court and won.
Right.
Because of the company I worked for in China, that happened the year
Yeah.
before. Somebody had to. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
But it doesn't seem like, I mean, it's like an expense. Like let's say you're not getting paid the right amount of money. Then you take them to court. Well, you just kind of lost. You just gave all that money to lawyers.
Right.
You didn't really.
Yep.
I mean, unless you were like some people do. You know, you're married and you have kids and you live in the country. Yes, you're technically an expat, but you're also kind of a
Immigrant.
Yeah, you're an immigrant. You're part of the culture. Then it's a very different idea.
If you marry someone, a local person, and you have kids with that person, and you stay put, you are no longer an expat. You are an immigrant.
You're an immigrant.
An expat is a person who goes to a country to live and work and learn about the culture for a period of time, and then they move on.
Well, they could move on until they want to be an immigrant. They want to immigrate to that country.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it's a very different thing. I don't know. I just find that line, responsibility, it gets all pushed up until you're going from kindergarten doing these things to when you're in some position, management position or something in some company, or you're the director of something, or you're the owner of something. It all just keeps going, and basically that mode of doing and relating to people, it just continues. It doesn't change. It doesn't get better. And it's funny because living and working in the Midwest in the United States,
That work ethic is real.
you kind of don't really want or try or think that these are admirable traits. Living and working in the Midwest, I hate the Midwest work ethic. I'll tell anybody that.
But you have it.
But unfortunately, that's where I got my first job. That's where I've done the majority of my work as an adult is in the Midwest, and it's a totally different idea. I mean, it's like, yes, there are some shady ass people out there,
Oh, I've seen
but
it.
they pay for that shadiness at some point.
Yep.
Whereas I've seen some shady ass people in a lot of countries and they don't pay for anything.
They just move up higher.
Yeah, they just move up, which is kind of weird. Like in China, if you're really bad in your job, you'll probably be you'll have your boss's job next year,
Yep.
which I saw a lot of.
Or if you pitch enough of a fit and threaten and try to extort, it actually works in China.
Right. I would say it works in Thailand too.
Yep.
In Asia, because Asia has a different take
Right.
on what we think of as morality or intellectual honesty or just honesty.
Yeah.
You know. All right. What else? I think I've come to the end of my list. My last thing is a game of thing.
You gotta wait for your game of chat.
Yesterday, Keegan and I went and had manicures and
Billy,
pedicures
you
done.
want to talk about nails?
Wait.
Come on, man, get to it.
And afterwards, we went to Starbucks, and as we were waiting for our drinks to be ready, the Starbucks was packed. The mall was packed. This little girl spilled her drink from the movies all over the floor. And her mom starts cleaning it up with the napkins. And the dad's getting handfuls of napkins, and they're cleaning it up. And Keegan and I are just watching this. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And she's like, "Yep, this would never happen in China." The mom's cleaning up, the dad's cleaning up, and by the time the girl from Starbucks got over there with the mop, it was all cleaned up.
So what you're telling me is that we were not telling the truth about our lack of responsibility that we are seeing around us. Is that what you're telling us? Is that what you're telling the people?
No. I'm saying that as expats, we have seen in different cultures how this type of scenario has played out. In Thailand, they would have cleaned it up. In Malaysia, I watched them clean it up. In China, there's no way in hell they'd clean it up. And then here, I was actually kind of surprised that the mom and the dad cleaned it up.
I'm not.
Why?
I'm not surprised.
Public place. You just made a mess.
I know, but I'm not surprised. I watch kids do that in the classroom.
But I watched the child stand there and do nothing.
No, I watch kids do that in the classroom. I watch kids if
If somebody spills their pencil case, the whole group runs
Yeah.
over to clean it up. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by that at all. But you're telling me that the parents are taking responsibility for the actions of their child.
But the child had nothing. She just stood there. And I'm just like, okay, honey, you could like move your things out of the way. You could move your body out of the puddle.
Why? Being cleaned up.
Responsibility.
I don't know if they
You
are.
try to sound right.
I think your story just
But it was
tore up our entire
No.
half an hour of talking.
It was interesting for to experience with Keegan because we've seen so many crazy things in our time traveling, and it was something that we both noticed. Like this would never happen in China, ever. It was just really. It was a really surreal moment. Like we're watching this, like, what the hell? And I don't know that I had ever seen a man clean up anything in Asia.
I ain't got nothing. I got nothing.
It was very weird.
It's not very fantastic.
This from the boy who's been sitting here making hand motions for the last 45 minutes
Hey,
and
man.
hasn't said a word.
Your story
And who-
is not
Who
very
decides that the most
fantastic.
exciting thing they're going to do during the entire podcast is blow their nose into the microphone?
You got nothing? You got nothing.
The only excitement you had this week is the vet.
was the Marvel stuff.
Very funny. All right, well, that's it. That's all you got for the people this week. Looks like that's it. Because since my list is empty, they don't have anything else. If you want to find the Traveling Farrs on the YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, iTunes, or the Spotify and the Play, we are the Traveling Farrs. If you like the Twitter or the Instagram, Traveling Farrs. Email travelingfars@gmail.com. Which, are we getting any emails from anybody?
I have.
I'm going to take this off the list.
Why?
Because we're not getting any emails. Are we getting emails? Come on, be honest.
I've probably gotten maybe 6.
Oh, I think we need to hit us up, people. Blog space. The Traveling Farrs at blueberry.net. No E's in the blueberry.
Wait a minute. Emails about what?
Anything.
You didn't bring that up.
Anything.
I got an email from a mom
Okay,
who
you
was
don't have to
helping me
explain
about
it.
transcripts for you, and I get all kinds of questions about how to get jobs abroad, and
So wait, you're bringing up stuff that, I mean, you don't want to share your information?
I do share the information. When I get the question, then we talk about it.
It becomes a Q at the W.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, keep it coming, people. Keep it coming. Alright? Go ahead. Do your wave. Do it, man!
Wake up, sir.
Oh, this is why you don't want to do the game chat. Alright, say goodbye to people. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Peace!
I forgot all about Cam 2.
You can never forget about Cam 2
I completely didn't even see it sitting over
because
there.
you're so sad.